Lexus has given us a completely new generation of the RX for the 2023 model year. This means ditching all of their old V6 powertrains in favor of smaller 4-cylinder and turbocharged powertrains like the one in this RX500. So the question is, has this improved efficiency on this SUV? Well, today we're going to find out. This is Chris here with Daily Motor, and today we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2023 Lexus RX500 F Sport Performance. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. So this one in particular is finished in a color the only way I can really think of describing as rose gold. This kind of reminds me of the whole rose gold craze back about 10 years ago with iPhone 5s and all of the other sort of things that kind of remind me of high school, but I think that it looks pretty decent here on the Lexus RX. Otherwise, I think it kind of just looks like a bigger, more grown-up version of the current NX. We've got some of that new Lexus styling language here, and overall, a pretty good look. So under the hood of this RX500 is a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and of course, it is a hybrid, so we have an electric motor in there as well. There are no EPA ratings yet on this car, so we have actually beaten EPA at their own game here, and we're gonna go out and find out what this thing gets in a real world scenario here in just a second. But I wanted to give you guys a look at the exterior of the car so you can bask in all of the rose goldness. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with our test. So then, why do we perform this test? Well, the EPA's fuel economy test, which gives the previous generation RX 28 miles per gallon on the highway, only averages 48 miles per hour. And we know that some people like to take their cars on actual proper road trips. So what we do is we go out 50 miles and back 50 miles, averaging 70 miles per hour for a more real world figure. Now, I want you guys to consider that the number I just gave you, 28 MPG, that is for the Lexus RX 450h. This was a V6 hybrid car, previous generation, previous model year. As I stated earlier, no EPA data yet for this RX 500, so we don't really have anything to go off of other than the data that we get today. So kind of exciting. I kind of like when we beat EPA at these tests. A couple of things worth noting for today. Outside temperature is 34 degrees Fahrenheit, so just over freezing today. We're going to be running the climate control inside the cabin at 73 degrees auto. Tire pressures have been set to their factory door placard indicated 33 PSI cold, and we'll be using the same gas pump both times. Yes, I reported him on my way in. We'll be using, there he is. We'll be using the same gas pump both times using the same 3-click filling method to get the most accurate results possible. Let's go ahead and hop out, grab our first fill. Oh my goodness, it's windy today. And 3.7 gallons going in there for our first fill. Holy crap. It's a tornado. Oh, let's get inside this Lexus. Okay, gonna go ahead and get that climate set to 73 degrees auto, but I'm gonna turn off our heated elements, just run the climate on auto. And additionally, I'm gonna go ahead and reset our MPG data there. All right, and with that reset, let's go ahead and get on the road. Also in this menu, we've got to do something else if we don't get first completely smacked by a minivan. That's always good. We've got to switch our drive mode, and in the new Lexus RX, that is in the infotainment screen. So a few different drive modes here: normal, sport, custom, and eco. We are going to be running today in eco drive mode to be as economical as possible, of course. Go ahead back into Waze here. Now, the purpose of this test is not to hypermile. I'm simply going to merge onto the highway, set the cruise control to a GPS indicated 72 miles per hour, and just drive like any normal person would to get the most real world figure possible. Is the speedo really that off? Now, this is a prototype vehicle, so I suppose that is possible. All right, let's go ahead and set this a little bit lower here. Man, are we that off? I'm not doubting this because we do have GPS going here on Waze and on the phone. So we've got two different sources here of data It looks like 68 on the car is going to be our indicated 72 on the GPS. All right, well, kind of weird, but like I said, this is a prototype vehicle, so some things may not be calibrated as they should. All right, well, anyways, getting settled in here on the highway. This RX500 is pretty cozy, just as you would expect from any Lexus SUV of this size. Seats are pretty comfortable. Since this is an F-Sport Performance, we do have some slightly more aggressive bolstered seats. They kind of remind me of the ones in the LC500. Otherwise, though, ride comfort seems to be nice. We do have some larger wheels on this car, and we are running on some Michelin Pilot Sport SUV tires. We're going to set this a little bit higher now. See if maybe things are starting to figure themselves out. Okay, a little bit strange. We do also have adaptive cruise here in this Lexus. Oh, here we go. See, it looks like you adjust it this way. Lots of different controls here in the steering wheel for this car, which kind of make things a little bit complicated, but I hope I'll get used to it. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and settle in here, get to eating up these highway miles here in the RX500, and I'll catch up with you guys once I am towards the end. Wrapping up our drive here in the Lexus RX500 F-Sport Performance, and as expected, it's been quite a pleasant drive. Other than having a little bit of discrepancy between the speedo and the GPS, everything has been just fine. Super comfortable ride, minimal wind noise, especially considering that it's a super windy day today. It's a very quiet cabin. This Mark Levinson sound system is pretty good. It's certainly not S tier, top of the line, but I would probably put it somewhere between A and B, so pretty good. Infotainment works pretty well. I've got a nice attractive screen here for Apple CarPlay, and really no complaints here. Lane tracing assist, which is Lexus's lane keep assist, adaptive cruise, everything like that. That all seems to work pretty well. You can take your hands off the wheel for a pretty extended amount of time, and the car will steer for you with no problems. Indicated here on the cluster, 25 MPG even. Honestly, not as good as I was expecting from this little 4-cylinder hybrid, but this car does have quite a bit of weight to carry. So, I don't know, I guess 25 makes some sense. We don't know that that is our exact number. We'll have to wait until we get to the pump to see what we actually got, but I'm expecting it to probably be somewhere around there. I was expecting this car to be somewhere around the 27 to 28 mark, so I guess 25 isn't too far off of that. But just considering that EPA rated the last generation RX350 hybrid at 28 on the highway, makes this a little bit disappointing that we don't have something similar here in the newer car with a smaller engine. But we shall see. So I'm going to go ahead and finish out my last few miles here, and I'll catch up with you guys once I have brimmed the tank on the RX500 F-Sport Performance. It's a bit of a mouthful. Today's journey was 99.74 miles. We'll go ahead and divide that by the 3.868 gallons of petrol that we put back into the RX500, and that gives us 25.78 MPG. Pretty consistent with what was reading out here on the cluster. Right towards the end, we're reading out 25.2, somewhere in there. So I would say that this is probably pretty accurate, rounding up here to 26. But honestly, if you were to take the average of the two, it's somewhere in the middle, 25.5. So really not the most impressive thing in the world for this RX500, but it is what it is. There you go, 25.78 MPG. And honestly, I couldn't find much on the actual fuel capacity, tank size on this RX500, but I did find one article that said it had a 17.2 gallon tank. So that's what we're going to go with today. That gives you an effective highway cruising range of 440 miles. So not really too much range in this RX500. Not the most impressive thing in the world, to be honest. I thought maybe this year with these smaller 4-cylinder powertrains, these cars would do a little bit better in an MPG test, but I guess not. I mean, a couple factors here. It is kind of cold out today. It is windy, but I feel like wind should kind of even itself out. You've got a headwind going one way and a tailwind going the other way. And if we go out and back the same distance, then it really shouldn't matter. But there you go. 25 MPG, 440 miles of range. And that's it here for the Lexus RX500. If you want to learn more about this car, make sure to check the link in the description to all of our other videos on it. But that'll wrap it up for us today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. This has been Chris here with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.